8:30. All right? So, if you grab a piece of paper on the way in, that is a packet. It's actually an article. It's not that great though, because I tried to get it published in 6 different places, and all 6 turned me down. So since I can't get it published, I'm pushing it on you. So enjoy that for whatever it's worth. So, engagement and motivation. That's my thing today. Actually, I lied. This is about the Kalermania Staff Royal Rumble. I'm looking for, now that you're here, that means you're in. We're not even doing it this year. You can relax. It's fine. No, we are here because we are trying to motivate the unmotivated. I see myself in some of these pictures, but I most definitely see a lot of the kids in my classroom. Not that I'm pointing out any in particular, but this appears maybe it's just a social studies thing. I don't know. But looking out into the crowd, some days there's a lot of dead eyes staring back at me. This seems to be a problem. I know we've talked about this a lot in our meetings on Wednesdays, and it seems to be a recurring theme as time goes on. How do we get kids engaged? I am not an expert, all right? But I have been teaching in public schools for 19 years, and I know a lot of you right now are feeling the same things, is how do you get these kids to pay attention? And you know what? Sometimes it's literally just getting in their face right away and doing something to get them engaged or excited or whatever. So in that extensive article of a lot of words that tried to get published, I came up with a top 6. You can all read. I am not going to read slide for slide to you because I don't do this in class either. I hit the big stuff, all right? So there's 6 big things that I'm trying to get across. Build confidence through small wins. That's a big one for me. I'll talk about that. Low stakes challenges, positive reinforcement, autonomy and learning, critical thinking skills, and modeling behaviors. Now I can talk about all 6 of those, but guess what? I can get it done in 3. I got a 3-part plan. Have anybody ever seen the movie Idiocracy, by the way? There's only one in me and V. That's okay, 3. 3 of us have seen Idiocracy. I am still going to reference this movie, even though none of you have been enlightened. The guy that made this movie, his name is Mike Judge. You may also know him from the creator of Beavis and Butthead. I've already lost half of you with my sophomore year. That is also Terry Crews up there, who plays the president in the movie Idiocracy. It's science fiction, right? It's about a dystopian future 500 years from now. But strangely, as the years have gone on, this movie is becoming more science fiction than anything else. So check it out, all right? But I got a 3-point plan that I think can fix everything. Opinion, of course. One question I ask myself a lot this year, and some of you have probably heard me say this, is literally I will say, dude, am I part of the problem? Have we created this monster? Right? This learned helplessness and the lack of motivation and disengagement and not paying attention and no care. Am I part of the problem? Right? And maybe I am, maybe I'm not, but I think that's a really important question to kind of ask yourself sometimes, is am I actually a part of this, right? So if I'm part of the problem, I can probably be part of the solution too. And one thing that I've done my whole teaching life and coaching life is building confidence through small wins, right? And I mean, it can be little things, right? Small things like complimenting handwriting. For all the times I've walked around a classroom and looked at a kid's study guide and been like, dude, your handwriting should be a font. Their eyes will light up. Just a small compliment, feeling noticed. So many kids don't feel noticed. And you know this, right? How many kids, it's just a miracle that they show up at school. And I know that we shouldn't continue to lower the bar and lower the bar. I am not saying that. But I am saying one of the common things I'm going to continue to say here is you got to meet them where they're at, man. Right? You have to meet them where they're at. Noticing a haircut, a choice in their font on their slides, right? The way they write a number, right? The orderly fashion in which they complete their problem sets. Anything, a t-shirt. I like to quiz kids sometimes if they're wearing a band t-shirt and be like, hey, name me a Guns N' Roses song. And if they do, I flip out. Right? And then they feel so proud of themselves because, they've learned one Guns N' Roses song. But make them feel seen, right? We so often focus on 1,000 things that seem important, but we're emphasizing everything. If we emphasize everything, you're actually emphasizing nothing. So you have to come back to what got you into this profession in the first place. And it's probably not the lavish lifestyle. It's probably not the huge paycheck. So why on earth did we do this to ourselves, right? Well, it's because maybe we actually like kids. And maybe somewhere out in that classroom, maybe we see ourselves, right? I know I do, right? And I think about the teachers that I had that got across to me, and I steal their material liberally, right? Because it worked for me and maybe it works for them. So all of these things I'm trying to drive at is confidence, right? So how do you get a kid engaged? Well, you got to build their confidence somehow. You can't destroy them. You can't make them feel stupid. We are all experts here, but I think sometimes, myself included, I'll start talking about something in history and I'm throwing really big words out and I'm looking and I see the dead eyes again, right? And I'm like, okay, yeah. Maybe pull that back and use an example that gets them to realize a real life scenario where they can apply the information that I just threw at them. And again, complimenting handwriting, small little wins where they feel good about themselves. It's amazing, right? You can get them motivated through just having confidence. My career in math is a great example. I'm a social studies teacher for a reason. I lost confidence in math probably around 7th grade. 8th grade is when the wheels fell off, and from my freshman year on, we were faking it until we made it, man. All right? But I lost confidence, and it's not like I'm stupid. I'm an intelligent person, but because I had no confidence and I didn't have maybe somebody reach out and make me feel like I actually knew what I was doing, I lost all confidence. I lost engagement. I told myself I couldn't do math anymore. Over, game over, right? Lost the academic honors diploma my senior year because of math. No offense, Mr. King. It's not your fault. I didn't have Scott as a teacher. That's probably why I failed. All right? But you got to take the easy wins. I love this gif of Michael Jordan because sometimes we think our students are Michael Jordan going up for a layup, right? I coached basketball my whole life. I played basketball. Layups are the easiest shots in the game. They are a 1-foot shot. Literally, just put the ball into the basket. Make the layups. Make the layups. That's the easy win. Sometimes we think our students should be doing this, when in actuality, this is the dude we're working with. Right? We are expecting greatness when really this is the skill set. Okay? So we all got ideas. We attend these workshops. We listen to people like me talk. But really, at the end of the day, like, buzzwords are great, methods are great, but you have to understand who the heck is sitting in the seats in front of you. You got to understand that first, right? Number one. So how do you then give these kids that you don't know? You could have a Michael Jordan sitting right there, but you also got the dude who's all wristbanded out bricking layups too. So how do you make a classroom filled with people that are that diverse work? Well, you got to give them choices to show you what they can do, right? Autonomy and learning is a big one for me. Now, as a social studies teacher, I know maybe this doesn't apply across curriculums, but I'm just trying to throw out options there. For me, one of the things I'll do on a test is trying to get kids to write. That has been an emphasis for like 10 years, it feels like. Get them to write, model the behaviors. So on a test, I'll offer sometimes like 4 or 5 short answer questions. You only need to answer 2, right? Pick the 2 that you feel most confident in answering, and I'll grade those. I'll forget about the other ones. And by the way, if you want to answer 1 extra one, I'll give you bonus points for that. You know, I don't know, a lot of you have been around for a while, but like, I don't know, maybe 10, 11 years ago, there was a hard pushback about extra credit, right? And I'm not going to name names, but I taught with a dude who was an English teacher for a long time, who was giving like 1,000 points for extra credit. Yeah, some of you know who that is, right? Yeah, he was a legend. And so there was a huge pushback then of like, no extra credit, no extra credit. So then I found a little loophole and I had bonus questions on tests and quizzes. That's how you get extra credit, right? Reward the extra effort. Again, you're making a choice. You're going the extra mile. We're going to reward them. And I break down how I grade these in that article too, but choices equal control. Control equals ownership. Ownership equals motivation. See all that? I did a lot of little different slides there. I timed it out. I'm pretty impressed with my slide. But ownership, seriously, when you take ownership in your own education, I remember a few years back, I was doing a research project, and I can talk about Ken because he's not in the room right now. I would say if he was here. But I was getting observed, and it was like, hey, Decker, I'm gonna come observe you, what days work. I told him the days that worked, and he came on the day that didn't work for me. And we were in a computer lab, and kids were typing essays, and I'm like, this dude, what? Just watching kids type essays, man. So I'll admit, right? Class started, I put on the dog and pony show for 5 minutes, right? But I'm like, I'm just polishing up a pile of mud here, right? And I mean, eventually I was just like, all right, guys, get to work on your essays. And I just kind of bounced around the room. And the whole time I'm like, this is it. This is the year. I am now a 2, right? I am improvement necessary. I am the stereotype. I am the coach that just says, shut up and stand in front of the computer or watch the video. I'm like, great, I just fulfilled the stereotype. After the class was over, I apologized to Ken. I said, I'm sorry, man. Like, this day I don't know what you got out of this, but it was a choice I made to just let you see it. Ken was like so excited. He's like, no, these kids owned their education. They were motivated. They were taking the information you gave them. And I was like, yeah. Yeah, that's what we did. But I never forgot that, right? Because here I thought I sucked. And Ken looked at it and said, no, this is awesome. So it's all about perspectives sometimes, right? Just because you think what you're doing isn't great, what you're doing might actually be great. It's all about how the kids respond to it, right? I literally have been this guy. I don't know if you've another movie reference, The Hangover, wildly inappropriate for school, but I have been Bradley Cooper, literally walking out of the building, referencing this actual scene, right? I am this guy some days where I just want to look at a kid and be like, you do not exist. I am questioned out. Leave me alone. But you can't say that, right? You can feel that, but you can't show it, dude. You gotta act a little bit, right? So while I feel like this guy, I'm this dude. And I'm occasionally him too, all right? All the while on the inside, I'm like, get away from me. But you know what? Hey, man, act it up because you don't know, right? Literally, that kid that you just shoved away, maybe that's like the one interaction they needed today that was positive, right? And I know that's a lot of pressure, right? None of us are perfect. I am not at all perfect, right? I have my weaknesses and my deficiencies. But you got to remember, too, like these kids, again, why are you here? What are you here for? Like, these kids need us, man. They do. So, what's the takeaway? The common purpose, right? I attended a Disney Leadership Conference over the summer. It was a virtual conference. I thought maybe I was signing up for one where I could go to Disney, but it was virtual, but I still went anyway. And one of the things that I learned was this quote. It says, you don't build it for yourself. You know what the people want, and you build it for them. And it was said by literally one of my heroes, Walt Disney. I may have lost some of you when I said that, but this guy was an innovator, man. He thought outside of the box. He motivated people in creatively different ways. He was a classic walk-around kind of boss. He would get up from his desk, and he would go talk to people, right? And he would cross-pollinate, they called it. He would take somebody who was an animator by trade and tell them, you're going to do the score for this movie. They're like, I draw, I don't do music. He's like, no, you can handle it, right? And he would put people in positions out of their comfort zone, but put them around people that actually were experts. So what he was doing was taking people that were creative and moving them into another group and having them interact and collectively come up with solutions together. We sometimes have to do that as teachers, right? You got to get out of your comfort zone once in a while. Again, it's like me at basketball practice. Like, mistakes are okay, right? If we're doing a ball handling drill, it's okay. If the ball is rolling across the floor, that means you're actually pushing yourself. You're expanding your horizons. You're trying something out of your comfort zone. And yeah, you might fail, but like all of us, our first and second year is teaching. No offense to first and second year teachers in here, but I know I was not a good teacher my first and second year in comparison to where I'm at now. Not that I'm God's gift to education, but I'm certainly better than I was year 2, right? You try stuff, you fail, you fall on your face, but you learn from it and you move forward. So if you model that behavior, your kids will follow you. Yes, you're gonna make mistakes, but mistakes are all part of that learning process. So, final things here, right? Just to remind us of who our kids are, I do surveys on Fridays in my class, and on a whim, I ask the kids, what's your favorite leisure activity or hobby outside of school? And I gave them a ton of choices. I said, would it be reading, drawing, being with family, video games, being outside, playing sports, riding bikes, reading, on TikTok, or watch TV. Now granted, this is a sample of 8th graders, but 41% of 8th graders, when given these choices, including social media, TikTok, video games, TV, sedentary things, 41% of 8th graders chose being outside, playing sports, riding their bikes. 41%. The next highest vote there, by the way, was of course TikTok, all right? But their first choice was to go outside. Their second one, I said, what's your second favorite leisure activity or hobby? 20% TikTok. 22% said being with family. So the second highest, number one choice, being with family. So what does that mean? The kids that are in our 8th grade classrooms, when given the choice, would love to go outside, and their second choice would be to hang out with their family. They're not as disconnected as we think they are, right? They're not. They just act differently than what we're used to. But they still kind of have those same basic wants and needs, and maybe they want that connection because we live in a very disjointed, disconnected society. So maybe the first thing we should do as teachers is freaking connect with the kids that are in our room, because they need that. And if you do it, like, again, I'm not an expert, but that is like the first 2 weeks of my class are relationship building, right? I'm letting them know who I am, I'm giving them a piece of my personality, and it actually goes a long way, right? Because now when I discipline them, it's not so much, you did this and now this is the consequence. It is, man, I'm disappointed in you, you let me down. That hurts so much more, doesn't it? And it also motivates you. So it's all about relationships, man. Last one I asked him, in your opinion, what's the biggest problem we face as a society? 45% said lack of togetherness. They're tuned in, man. All right. This was like no coaching either. This was a random survey. Gave them choices. 15% said inequality, and 11% said poverty. So, what did I do with you today? Well, I don't know. I mean, I just talked a lot here for about 25 minutes. But these are things that I do in my classroom. These are things that work for me. If I can boil it down to one thing, it is how do you get kids engaged and motivated? You got to let them know you care. And if you're going to ask them to do something, you should probably do it too, right? If I am on my phone behind my desk, which I don't do often, but let's face it, I do. And I've got reasons. I could make 10 excuses why I got to run out the room and take a phone call from the nursing home or whatever. It doesn't matter. To them, it doesn't matter. I'm on my phone. That's it. I'm on my phone. So if I'm on my phone and then 2 seconds later I light a kid up for being on their phone, don't the optics of that kind of not work? Right? I can still have a conversation with them about being on the phone. I can say to them, listen, I was on my phone because my mom has dementia and I got to take that call. Right? Why were you on your phone? Have a conversation. Don't just blow them up, right? You can still punish them. You can still offer consequences, but connect first. You don't know, right? Anyways, hopefully this was relatively painless for you. Maybe I made you laugh. But did you notice how I immediately reduced your expectations of the workload? I gave you a massive packet, and then I said, here's the top 6. And it was a black and white slide, and then I immediately switched to pictures and bright colors and said, we're not going to do 6, we're going to do 3, right? I only wanted to talk about 3 things all along, but I reduced it. I made it look like I'm doing you a favor, right? Again, you can play them too, right? You can act a little bit. Maybe you'll remember some of this, find it useful, maybe not. I'll send out a Google form because I'm not going to attach your names to these, so please give me feedback. I'm a big boy, I can handle it. Oh, I almost forgot. I sometimes do presentations for the Duneland South Shore Conference, and I'm the worst entrepreneur ever. I give away more books than I actually sell because, you know, I'm smart. So if you look, that was sarcasm too, by the way. If you look in through your packets, one of you might have a blue, well, maybe it's purple. I think purple smiley face. Hey, now that's perfect. RTI specialist, Ms. Eckbrand, you just won. Now, if you don't want it, you can just hand it to someone else. You won a copy of my book. It's called So there you go. Now, if one of you is jealous and you wished you got a book, they are available on Amazon. Kidding. Sort of kidding, but not really. But, all right, that's all I got. So 25 minutes, I did it. Prior to 8:30. Thanks for coming. You can go now.
Amazing. You're a born speaker.
Huh?